This is going to be my third and last reading from Andrew McMillan's poetry, after which I shall move on to Judith Butler because I've had a request from a former student of mine who believes that there needs to be more accessible lectures on Judith Butler. And so therefore I am going to record some lectures on gender trouble specifically. But that is going to be later. Today I will be reading my third and for the time being last poem of Andrew McMillan, Things Men Take. The reason why I think this poem is being read by me, quite apart from the fact that one of you have actually requested me to read this poem, is is because I think that very often a poet is capable of expressing something in a few lines or in a phrase, something that theorists or academics like me take 1 hour to 2 hours to discuss or to explain. And I think it is this particular quality of poem being concentrated, which I think gives poetry its own unique power. And I think that is what we find in this poem by Andrew McMillan. So without further ado, we get into the poem. Things Men Take. The room above the ceiling, the better pay, the jobs, your space at the bar, the peace, the smell of peace, when they leave a room, the silence, the short road out and the long road home, the swelling they seem to want to break the walls with, or they take so much it's easier to list what it is they leave behind, or they take without asking, like the man who takes the image of the blonde-haired girl in the low-cut top, goes home and takes his trousers off, takes the picture of the girl from the back of his mind, takes his wife in an almost pleasant way, then takes his face over to the wall, takes more than half the duvet, dreams of the short road out and the long road home, dreams of taking everything in the house into his hands, and dreams his hands are much bigger than they are. I think it is this last line which I think is really interesting. Dreams his hands are much bigger than they are. And I think that is, those two lines, I think for me, encapsulate what masculinity is about. Heteronormative men dream that their hands are bigger than they are. So they'll take on more, even if they know they can't do it. They're going to say, I'll manage it. Everything's under control. I'll do it. And their refusal to ask for help. I don't need anybody's help. I can do it myself. And I think it is this, and where is this coming from? It is coming from the way in which society has told them that they are entitled to everything in the world because they are all powerful. They can do everything, so they can also demand everything. And whatever they demand, they're entitled to get it. And I think it is this sort of sense of entitlement of him, of being sort of entitled to everything that the world has to offer, which is rather beautifully summed up in, dreams his hands are much bigger than they are. And I think what Andrew McMillan has managed to do in his poetry is really to put masculinity under a microscope, the way in which I have rarely found poems or poetry to do. And I think he has been able to do that because he feels that he is perhaps at some kind of a distance from hegemonic masculinity. And he feels a kind of alienation from hegemonic masculinity, and it is an alienation that that sort of doesn't sadden him. It's an alienation that sort of empowers him in a paradoxical way. So when we think about alienation, we usually think, oh, I feel alienated, so I feel disempowered. No, but in certain cases, I think an alienation can be very empowering as well. And I think this is exactly what Andrew McMillan is doing over here. I think he is empowered, and I think he is in a position to talk about masculinity the way in which people usually don't. So anyway, this is as far as Andrew McMillan is concerned. The poem that I read out is from his volume Physical. There will be readings from other poets, and who knows, I could also be reading out short stories, but that is all going to happen later. For the time being, this is it. I hope you're keeping safe. I hope you're keeping sane. And I hope that you're filling your days with fruitful, creative activity. And even if you are not, I hope that you also realize that sometimes simply sitting down and doing nothing can also be very, very generative. It can be a very necessary exercise for us to simply sit down and do nothing. So whether you are enjoying my YouTube videos or whether you are simply sitting doing nothing, I hope you're having a good time, and we shall meet again soon. Thank you.